This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this StockBox interview.
Cedric Simonet, of course, the CEO of Altona Rare Earths. Good to meet you in person.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Very happy.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
You arrived just this morning.
Yeah,
you're
that's
here
right.
for a couple of weeks, I think.
Yes.
You've got the one-to-one.
One-to-one, and then lots of investor meetings.
Lots of investor meetings.
Yes.
After the one-to-one?
After the one-to-one also, and also meetings with potential off-takers.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's talk about that a little bit. So one-to-one, I know it's all about meetings and diaries. How's your diary looking for the one-to-one?
Pretty full. And I think by tomorrow it will be full.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're going to have hopefully lots of investor meetings then?
I think so. There is a variety of different types of investors, also off-takers for industrial minerals and rare earths. So it's going to be a very interesting one-to-one for us.
Okay. So let's start. What pitch are you going to make to investors then?
Well, it will depend on the profile. Some investors may not be very familiar with Altona, so we will want to pitch a company as a whole, explain what we've been doing for the past few years, the different assets. And then some investors will have a specific interest on rare earths or on Fluorspar, and then we will focus on that.
So what would be the pitch to people who perhaps don't know Altona then? And of course, Altona Rare Earths is in the name.
Yes, well, the name might change soon. Because obviously we are not doing only rare earths nowadays. Of course, since 2021, we've been exploring the Monte Muambe rare earth projects.
Yeah.
But we have announced earlier this year a diversification strategy into other critical minerals, and we are currently working on Fluorspar and copper projects. So yeah, there is a lot going on.
And the Fluorspar element comes from Monte Muambe, doesn't it? So the rare earths element of Altona.
That is correct. So Monte Muambe is a carbonatite intrusion. And these carbonatites often contain different minerals, sometimes many different minerals. You can have rare earths, but you can also have niobium, phosphates, you can have barite, you can have Fluorspar. And in the case of Monte Muambe, there is Fluorspar in the carbonatite intrusion, there is Fluorspar in the rare earth ore, and as part of the metallurgical studies to extract the rare earths, we are looking at how we can extract this Fluorspar which is associated to the rare earths. But separately from that, there are also some high-grade Fluorspar veins at Monte Muambe, which are a different ore body. They are not mixed with the rare earths, but they are part of the same geological system. And we are looking at how we could put these Fluorspar veins into production, because since they are very high grade, the process to extract, to produce a commercial product is relatively simple, and there is an opportunity to get a mining operation going on in a very short time.
Right, okay. So is that the rationale behind going down, looking at the Fluorspar, because it's an opportunity to get into the production and cash flow sooner? Because of course Altona Rare Earths, it was really solely a rare earths project and company play. So what's the sort of, why the sort of shift? I know you've got the copper in Botswana, we'll talk about that in a moment, but why the shift sort of, not necessarily away from rare earths, but diversifying into Fluorspar and copper? Yeah,
it's quite simple. If you look at the price of rare earths, for example, the price of neodymium, which is the biggest value driver for Monte Muambe, back in 2020, the prices were at a certain level. They started to rise and in 2021, and they peaked in February 2022. Then they went back down, and currently in 2024, they've been catching up a little bit. The consumption of rare earths is catching up because of the green energy transition, but the prices have not caught up so much.
Okay.
And when you are a junior exploration company focused on just one commodity, your share price necessarily is very exposed to the price of that commodity. And for me, that was an issue. I believe a lot in Monte Muambe. I believe in the long-term fundamentals for rare earths, but we can't be a rare earth only company. That's why we wanted to diversify.
So you still like rare earths?
I still like rare earths, of course. I really believe in it. And for me, the Fluorspar project at Monte Muambe is important because it's not a huge mining project, but it's a project that could see a production of 15 to 20,000 tons per year of Fluorspar, which would mean a turnover going anything between $5 and $10 million per year. And this sort of turnover will give a level of profit. That means that we will have some free cash flow that we can reinject either in the rare earth project at Monte Muambe to continue with the pre-feasibility study, or that we can invest also in other exploration projects like the copper projects or some other new projects. So I see this Fluorspar project as an opportunity to bring a source of cash for the company, meaning we can finance exploration without having to go to the markets, without having to dilute our shareholders.
So is the Fluorspar really the focus for you at the moment?
Well, the copper projects are important. The rare earth project remains important. I will just remind you and our listeners the rare earth project, we are focusing right now in two key activities to de-risk the project. One is the metallurgy that is ongoing with SGS Lake Fields in Canada, and that is progressing. And the other one is obtaining the mining concession. Which is a key aspect of the de-risking of the Monte Muambe rare earth project.
So those things are still going on. I know the metallurgy is very important in rare earth exploration.
It is.
So that's going on at the moment. Early signs were they looking good, were they? Or was it?
They were looking good, but it's taking time because it's not easy. There's no reason to hide it. The metallurgy of rare earth project is always the most difficult part. But we've made a significant progress, and we've published an RNS with that, and I'm hoping that very soon we'll publish another one showing more progress.
And in terms of that progress, is that just sort of experimentations in the lab, trying different reagents, different leaching methods, recovery methods to fine-tune? So it's an ongoing process?
Yes. What we are testing is flotation. Flotation is a process to separate minerals. You grind the rock into a powder, and then the different particles in this powder correspond to different minerals, and you want to separate them. So flotation is a way to do this. When I say flotation, it sounds very simple, like it's a simple process like, I don't know, washing the dishes or something like that. Or you just put soap and you wash your dishes. It's not like that. There are many different parameters. There are many different reagents you will use. There are conditioners. It's very complex. The temperature, the pH of the fluids affect the result. So you have to test many different parameters. And when you find a set of parameters that works well, then you're going to go in that direction. You're going to start tweaking other parameters, keeping the one that works. And this is what we are doing. And it's a very iterative process, which is why it takes time.
It's ongoing all the time. And it's, as you say, it's important because there's no point in going really down the route of proving out a resource and saying, oh wow, we know we've got a huge resource here, and then finding out later down the line that actually we can't float it, we can't make it work. Chemically.
We produced last year a scoping study. Which was based on a limited set of metallurgical results, and we have been able to reproduce these results. But there are certain aspects of these results that we want to improve. And the reason is that there is a very good opportunity to improve significantly further the financial results of the project, the financial parameters. It's very simple. If you look at the OPEX of the project, about 50% of the OPEX is hydrometallurgy. So let me remind you about the process. The first step of extraction of rare earths is mining. You dig the ore out, you put the waste aside, and you take the ore to the plant. Then you have a beneficiation plant, which includes a flotation process. And this beneficiation plant produces a concentrate. For the scoping study, we used as a parameter for the concentrate a grade of 10% total rare earth oxide. But we know we can get higher than this. Now, this concentrate will not just be shipped out and sold as concentrate. We want to add value in Mozambique, in the country. There is value for our shareholders for that. And so what we will do is that we will have a second plant just next to the beneficiation plant, which is called a hydrometallurgy plant. And this second plant will leach the rare earths out of the concentrate and will reprecipitate them in a more pure form, which is called a mixed rare earth carbonate. So you can easily imagine that if the grade of the concentrate, which is the input of the hydrometallurgy, is twice higher, that means in your hydrometallurgy plant, the hydrometallurgy plant can be twice smaller and it will use twice less reagents. So considering that the hydrometallurgy plant is 50% of the OPEX of the project, there is a very good opportunity to slash down the OPEX of the project, and this is what we are working on. Right. This is the ultimate prize.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And it's relatively new, isn't it? Because rare earths were not really high in demand, were they, until recently? It's the drive of the green economy, motors, electric vehicles, that's driving demand for rare earths. So there's not much to fall back on. It's not like gold leaching or copper leaching, which has been done for a long, long, long time. So are we still in kind of an infancy in this sort of phase?
Look, the only nation really on Earth which is advanced in terms of rare earths is China.
It's China, okay, yeah.
And that's why they are the main producer, and we are trying to catch up. So for me, the rare earth industry is a completely new industry in many respects, commercially, in terms of process and so on. This is one of the reasons why we wanted to diversify.
Makes sense. Well, on the diversification then, so you said the Fluorspar could generate 5 to 10 million US dollars in revenue a year, and there'd be a nice profit on that could then be used for the rare earths at Monte Muambe and of course for the copper in Botswana. So how realistic is that? It's nice to say those numbers. Have you done any work to actually back it up?
We are doing the work now.
Okay.
We are doing a scoping study.
Okay. So those numbers you quoted me are from?
These are objectives.
Objectives, right? Okay.
And based on what we know about the deposit, it's not crazy objectives. Obviously, we don't want to waste our time. I must say at this point that I used to mine Fluorspar.
Okay.
About 20 years ago in France.
Okay.
I was open pit manager and chief geologist at the Fluorspar mine, which belonged to a group called Alcan, which then later on merged with Rio Tinto, and it has pretty much disappeared since then. And so we had two open pits. We had one underground mine. We had one flotation plant that was producing acid-grade Fluorspar, and one DMS plant that was producing metallurgical-grade Fluorspar. Okay. So I've got a good idea of what I'm doing when it comes to Fluorspar. And what is very interesting with this Fluorspar deposit at Monte Muambe is that it's very high grade. So what we've done, we went to the field 2 weeks ago. We redid some of the surveys. We did a drone photogrammetry survey to have a good digital terrain model of the topography, which are all basic things that you need when you want to do a mine plan. But more importantly, we collected representative ore samples. And what we did is that we crushed these samples and then we handpicked the waste out of the samples. Okay. Which is a process that you can replicate on a larger scale with gravity separation methods, which are very simple methods, like dense medium separation, which we used to use in France, and jigging, which is an even simpler method. So what we've done now is that we've sent all these samples to the laboratory, and we are going to send some of these samples to potential buyers and off-takers, and we will see the results. We will see first if we were able to produce commercial-grade metallurgical Fluorspar, and we will see what are the offers, what is the potential price.
Okay.
And these are going to be the inputs in the scoping study which we are working on,
Okay.
which will confirm all the parameters. And this scoping study, the results should be out during the first quarter of next year.
Right, the first quarter. First half of the first quarter or the latter half?
The first quarter. I'm going to give myself some time because it's the sort of project that you can fast track. So you don't want to jump something at the beginning of the process. You want to do it right, and then you can run.
So when you say it's something you can't fast track, so what are we talking here realistically in terms of, will you go through all the normal kind of staging gates, i.e. scoping study, moving into DFS, moving into BFS, and then looking to raise finance to go ahead and build the operation? No? It
would be more expensive than just constructing the mine.
Okay.
This is what I like with this model of small tonnage, high-grade veins. It's the same with gold. If you have a small tonnage, high-grade quartz vein with gold, it will cost you more to drill it and produce a JORC-compliant resource and a definitive feasibility study than to actually bring a plant and start mining.
Okay.
Yeah. So in terms of what will be the capex, I don't want to give you a figure again ahead of the results of the scoping study, but you have to imagine that to crush 15 to 20,000 tons of ore per year is just a simple small crushing plant. Jigging and DMS, if you are familiar with mineral processing, these are some very, very simple technologies.
They're sort of modular, aren't they, as well?
They are modular also. They use water. We've got water on site. There's no issue with that. So you can end up with a capex which will be in the order of magnitude of a few $million for an operation like this.
Okay.
So obviously, when you're considering this sort of capex, and when you've de-risked the most important parts of the project, you just have to get some of the funding from a potential off-taker, some of the funding from a local bank. You don't even have to raise equity. Okay. This is what we are trying to do.
So that would be the route to, so you look at that scoping study and you then at that point sort of make a decision, okay, this looks like a solid bet, we're going to go for it. Yeah. So we'll get agreements with off-takers, which is what's being tested, and that will feed into the scoping study anyway, so they'll have already got their heads up on what they're thinking about it. And then you can get some agreements in place, prepayments for, and then bank loans, effectively. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And investment, if necessary, from maybe people you meet tomorrow or the next few days. Well, it's always another route, I suppose.
It's always another route, but a project like this, if it's viable, it can be done without diluting our current investors.
Really?
Simply.
Okay. Yeah. So the conversations you'll be having over the next few days will be more like, buy our shares on the market, please.
Well, with potential off-takers, it will be funding, prepayments.
Oh, of course, with the potential funding partners who you're meeting as well. Prepayment terms. Okay. Well, okay, good. Well, that explains all of that. So then, if we talk about Botswana and the copper project, and of course that's brand new into the company. Just give us an idea of where that is at the moment in its sort of exploration journey, and really why Altona took the license area.
Okay, so when we decided to diversify into other minerals, first we looked at which commodities we wanted to be into. And I was quite interested in copper. I was interested also in some other minerals like niobium, even the lithium, because I thought that lithium would pick up relatively sooner than later. But then we got these two copper opportunities. And for me, these opportunities were interesting at the time because the acquisition cost was relatively low, and the exploration costs to get through the first stages of exploration were also relatively low. For both projects, we are going to do first geophysics, ground geophysics, and then we will get to the initial drilling. We will generate some drilling targets, and we will do the initial drilling. So we don't need millions and millions to generate news flow on this project. Initial news flow. What I like a lot with the project in Botswana, the copper project in Botswana, it's actually a copper-silver project.
Okay.
Yeah, all the copper deposits in the Kalahari copper belt in Botswana contain also silver.
Okay.
First, the geology is very well understood. You can use airborne geophysical surveys, regional airborne geophysical surveys, to see exactly where what we call the contact zone between the Dekar formation and the Nguakopan formation, where it passes in this Kalahari copper belt. So we already know it goes through that license that we are acquiring.
Okay.
And it's the process to do the exploration is also very well understood.
Yeah.
And it's already been proven.
Yeah.
So we know exactly what are the next steps, what we are going to do until the point where we are going to be able to drill.
Okay.
But more importantly, there is a context where we are located just 25 kilometers away from an operating mine.
Yes, there's a lot of operators in the area, aren't there?
Not a lot.
No?
There are a few.
Okay, a few, okay.
But they are operating.
Yeah.
And they're very close to where we are. Actually, when you want to go to the site, you drive past the Kwemakao Zone 5 copper mine. So this mine is producing 60,000 tons per year of copper in concentrate and 1.6 million ounces per year of silver.
Okay.
And the mine was opened just a couple of years ago, but still they are already expanding it. They want to double the production. MMG, which is a company operating the mine, has just published a competent person report to expand the production of the mine and to open some other deposits.
Okay.
So it makes it very interesting for us and for any other player in the Kalahari copper belt, because to be able to monetize a discovery, we don't need to discover a resource large enough to open a new mine. We just need to discover a resource good enough to be able to complement the production of an existing mine.
Right, yeah, okay.
Which is a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that would then, what would be the end game there? I know it's a bit early, you're doing your ground geophysics, then doing some drilling. Obviously the idea is to make a discovery or to show the continuation of mineralization in the area. Would that then be with the objective to sell it on?
It will depend on the size.
Okay.
All right. It will depend on the grade and also on the size. If we have a resource which has a high grade and relatively small size, it will make more sense to try to sell it to the neighbors who are already in operation. If we find a resource which is large enough to have a full-on mining operation, that's something we can consider also.
Okay, okay. To keep it in-house with Altona?
Yeah.
Right, okay, okay, yeah. Okay, right. Okay, so that in terms of near-term things to look out for then from Altona, so the work at Botswana is ongoing at the moment.
So the work in Botswana at the moment, we are in the environmental licensing process.
Okay.
And the stakeholders consultation.
Okay. As
soon as these are completed, we'll be able to start with field work.
Okay, your field work, and that's the ground geophysics? That's the ground geophysics,
and we might use also airborne geophysics.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that
we're currently assessing the pros and cons of both.
And that would lead to a drill program?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We will be able to generate drilling targets from the geophysics.
Okay.
Okay. So we might have to use one or several geophysical methods.
Sure. Yeah, okay. So, and in terms of timelines on that then, how long do you think the environmental license will take to?
I think we will be able to start the field work in the beginning of next year.
Right.
Okay. And drilling targets, being able to start drilling, I would say somewhere around the second quarter.
The second quarter?
Yeah.
Okay.
After completing the geophysics.
Okay, good. And then of course coming into Q1 as well would be when the scoping study for
the Fluorspar.
The Fluorspar, Monte Muambe comes in as well. So between now and Christmas,
well,
work just goes on in the background. News flow to market.
The jewel for me is the mining license, the mining concession for Monte
Muambe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we applied for the mining concession in December.
And that covers both Fluorspar and rare earths. It's
exactly.
A total, right? Okay.
That's the beauty. Even if you look on the cadastre, you will see it's rare earths and associated minerals, minerais asociados. So that includes the Fluorspar.
Okay.
Meaning that once this license is in place, that opens the door for our Fluorspar mining project.
Right.
The only thing we will have to do is a relatively simple EIA, because environmental impact assessment, because it's a relatively simple process. Again, crushing plus gravity concentration. There are no chemicals involved, nothing complicated.
Okay.
So this mining concession has been in the process since December last year, and we think it will be granted by the end of this year.
Yeah. So a year in the making.
Yeah. Things can take time, but they do happen. As you're aware, there has been elections in Mozambique.
Yeah.
There has been a little bit of trouble after the elections, demonstrations. So during this period, people don't necessarily go to their offices to work, so we've lost a couple of weeks, but it's still in the process.
So hopefully the market can look out for that bit of news. And the work that you'll be doing between now and Christmas, obviously in the next few weeks, is talking to investors, talking to offtake partners.
Yes.
And how much interest do you think offtake partners will have in the project at this stage? Will they want to wait for the scoping study? What kind of confidential discussions obviously will happen, but what sort of things will you be talking about with the offtake partners to gauge their interest, but also encourage them, that Altona's a good company to get involved with?
Now, the first thing they want to hear about are the specifications of the product. Right. So you have to show them your lab results, or you have to show them samples that they will analyze.
And you've got some of them to show at the moment?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we've got samples at the lab, and we've got samples in Maputo that we can send directly to off-takers.
So they look at them, and then you think that'll be a tick in the box with...
I think so.
You think so?
Yes. Yeah.
So the next thing they'll probably want to see is the scoping study, the economics.
Yeah. So the next thing we will do is to send the same samples to see now how we can produce the concentrate, the products with simple process like I've mentioned, gravity separation, DMS and jigs. But that's very simple. It's not like the flotation for Monte Muambe for the rare earths. That's a very simple process. So what that means is that there will be some news flow about the Fluorspar project before the end of this year. We might have agreements, off-take agreements, or MOUs with buyers.
Right.
That will be one.
MOUs,
But there will be definitely lab results. We will make some progress, and we will announce this on the scoping study. So there will be news on this project before the end of this year.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So why should investors? What's the play? Why should investors hold shares in Altona Rare Earths? If those questions come up to you in the next few days, what would you say? All
right. I think the first important thing that we must not forget is that we acquired Monte Muambe in 2021, so it's about 3 years ago. And during these 3 years, we've created a lot of value, right? We've gone from something that was just known occurrences of rare earths to a JORC compliant resource, 13.6 million tons at 2.42% total rare earth oxide. Almost 60% of that resource is already in the indicated category. It's not just inferred like people normally do a maiden JORC resource. We've done a scoping study, which is very positive. This project is attracting a lot of attention. So, and because of the completion of the scoping study, our ownership of the project has increased to 51%. It's an earn-in agreement. So we've built a lot of value with Monte Muambe, and that value is in the company and stays in the company. And when you look at the value of Monte Muambe, of course, we've not made a formal valuation, but there has been 2 research notes published, one this year and one last year. And these 2 research notes came to the same conclusion, funnily, that the value of our 51% of Monte Muambe is somewhere around 12 million pounds.
Okay.
So that's a lot of value for a company whose market cap is about 2.5 million pounds at the moment.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So that's the first thing. When you invest in Altona, you invest in the value of Monte Muambe.
Okay.
This project is a long-term project. There is a lot of interest. I've mentioned already the US government.
Mm-hmm.
They called me again on the day of the election of Mr. Trump.
Really?
Yeah, that's quite a coincidence, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
So who's called? You can't name who it is, but Department of...
Someone from the US government.
Someone from the US government.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting because, let's say, the US government and other Western governments have been supporting critical mineral projects.
Yes.
But one pattern that we used to see over the past few years is that they were focusing on projects that were at DFS level,
Yeah.
post pre-feasibility study. And we are at pre-feasibility study level, so we were not able to access these sort of facilities. But what I'm seeing now is that this is changing.
Coming a step further.
Yeah, they understand that they have to sustain not just projects that are very close to production, but also the pipeline of projects to get there. And we are seeing some openings for funding for pre-feasibility studies,
Really? Okay.
which is very useful for us, obviously.
So investors are investing in the value already baked into Monte Muambe.
So that's one.
That's one, yeah.
And the other one is that we are developing a portfolio of projects which we are choosing carefully. I've said it several times, I'm not trying to fill a basket with projects here and there. We're really choosing what we are investing in, projects that have a low entry cost, that have a low initial cost of exploration, and that we will have opportunities to monetize. So I'm trying to build a portfolio of projects, so that each of these projects can offer opportunities to monetize, to bring cash into the company and to finance other activities.
Okay.
And the last thing is a Fluorspar mining project. Which is a potential opportunity to get the company into production within a short time and to bring cash into the company so that we can finance other activities.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your
Thank
time,
you.
Cedric. Really good to meet you in person and have that discussion. That's really made things clear, and you've really explained, I think, the Fluorspar angle as well. Mm-hmm. So, of course, it's the rare earth potential, the value baked in there already. The Fluorspar is your cash, basically your near-term cash flow, and effectively de-risking element as well, because if you can bring cash in, and then your sort of blue sky or risk spread is your copper, silver in Botswana.
You completely understood it.
Thank you, Cedric.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.